Hello my scrappy friends. Let's talk pinwheels. Pinwheels remind me of when going to the show, and then you have those little wand things that spin around in the wind, and you can also buy the same sort of things for your garden. And using a simple technique as making a pinwheel makes a gorgeous layout. So what I've done here today is made the pinwheels in like flowers in the garden, laid out with one photo at the top. I got this idea of Paige Taylor, I think her name is. I've seen her on Instagram, and she done a same or similar technique like this using the pinwheel. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to make a pinwheel and to make a design like this. And the things that we're going to need today to make this, I've got some round foam squares. I've pulled out this live little round gems because I found that they were easier to use than using a Diamante one, and they're a little bit flatter. And also the embellishments from this live. I'm not sure if I'm going to be using those ones or the stickers from Redux into Summer. So I have stickers for that, and I have a couple of strips that I'll use for my little flower stems. And I've chosen this wavy paper with the blue, and also the other one that's got, you know, the grapes and crabfish and fish, you know, like seafood products or whatnot on one side, and then you have the pink and the red on the opposite. And I've got a 4x6 photo mat here, which is the opposite to the wave paper, so I'll use that as my photo mat. And I've also pulled out a dual purple piece of cardstock. So to get started, you're going to need your 12-inch trimmer. The other thing I did use is your multi-purpose scissors. Also, I found that the precision glue pen worked a lot better. Otherwise, use your tape runner. It will stick a lot better than what the repositional tape will. So on my layout before, I've done two different size pinwheels. So I've done a 2.5 and a 2-inch. So I'm going to start at a 2-inch with this paper here. So I'm just going to cut a couple of 2 inches. And now I'm going to cut a 2.5-inch strip. And then I'll cut a couple of those. So we'll have 2.5 and 2-inch pinwheels. So you've got some larger ones, and then you've got some smaller ones. So I'm going to start with those. And in the blue, I think I might just start with the 2. And I'm just going to cut a couple of those. I'm not counting how many pinwheels I would want on my page. I'm just going to be doing a couple and see how it looks, and then if I decide to add a few more, I can do that. I'm just going back to this one. I think I actually cut that one at 2.5, not at 2. And then we have our longer strips. The reason why I'm using these ones is because they're just leftover scrap, so I just wanted to use them up. So I'm just going to cut a couple of 1/4 inch strips to use as stems. So I'm just going to go through and do a couple of those. Just a couple of each colour. And also making sure that your strip doesn't move on you while you're cutting it. You can use repositional tape to hold that down, and that will give it a little bit more support. But I'm just going to go through and hopefully it just doesn't move on me. So now that I have a couple of the blue, I'm just going to use the scissors just to cut that through. Now I'm just going to get a couple of the green. Just putting it on, whoops, and holding it down at the same time. So I'm just going to do a couple of more. I think I moved that one, but it should be okay. It can be covered up under the pinwheel, because as I said, they're only used as stems. Okay, so we're done with the trimmer now. So to make your pinwheel, I'm just going to start with the 2-inch. So to make the pinwheel, to get started, you want to go from the 4 corners, and you want to cut in, but you don't want to cut right in the center. You do want to leave a little gap. So you're just going to go around and cut it in about 1 inch or a little bit more. Then I'm just going to get my precision glue pen, and what I do is just going to find that multi-purpose tool, is you want to flip it up and you want that tip to sit in the middle of your square. And with my multi-purpose tool, I usually just hold that down, so it gives that time for that glue to set, and then continue to go around with my next one, folding it into the middle. You can flatten those down because they will flatten down in your book once you put it into the album. You don't need a lot of glue, but give yourself enough glue. So each one of those sides on your corner that you have cut, you want to fold in every second one. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit more glue down and fold in that last one into the middle. So now I'll grab one of those little diamante dot, like I think they're like a gel one, and just pick a color. I might just use the blue and put it in the middle. And there you have one little pinwheel. So you want to go around and you want to do that same process on every square to make your pinwheels. So as you can see, this is the 2.5 one. So with the 2.5 one, you're doing exactly the same thing as we did on the 2-inch. So it's just going around. The precision glue pen is really, really good. If you haven't used it before, it's one of the must-haves that you need in scrapbooking, especially with those little fine, small little detail things that we always want to glue down. So I'm just going to hold that down in the middle for a little bit. just give it that little support so the glue can do its thing. And then I'm going to be using a light purple one here. And as you can see, there's the pinwheel. So I've got 2 pinwheels. So I'm going to continue on and finish the rest of the pinwheels, and then we'll continue on to the layout. Now that I've finished making my pinwheels, got all these lovely little pinwheels. So now, moving on to the rest of our layout, I'm going to bring in that purple jewel cardstock. I think I might just use the light purple side. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay out my pinwheels just to give an idea of where I want them to be. And also bringing in my photo mat that I'm going to be using. I've done a 4x6, but I'm thinking now I might make that a little bit smaller. Probably still leave it at a 4. I might do a 4.5. So I might have it over this side. So just laying that where I want it, and that will give me a fair idea where I want to lay all my pinwheels as well. And as you can see, when I've done this, I've actually, which one is it? I've used both ways. So our designer paper is double-sided, so I've turned it over and used, you know, the opposite as well. So they weren't all the same. So let me see. Do I have a blue here? I'd have the bigger one up here, that one there. So I might have it something like this. So I do have a couple of pinwheels left over. So using my silicone mat and using my strips, so I'm going to be using the green side as well as the blue and white side on my layout. So I'm just going to put some repositional tape on them. So these are like your stems for your flowers, so just, you know, imagine that these pinwheels are flowers. So what I'm going to do, I will use the green on the blue ones. So just placing that down. Using the scissors and give it a trim. You can refix up that trim when you're finished. Just going to lay this one down so then I can put the pinwheels around it. So I'm just going to put this one on a slight of an angle, and I'm going to have to change that one because it's the same color. Let's bring that one over there. I'd actually use a pink. So bringing in those round foam squares. And then that can go on, oops, So then I'm using the blue. So then we have, just going to go to the edge of the page, not over the edge. And just taking off that excess. So then just putting some more repositional on this little tag. And he's going to be used for this blue one. And then, so I just want to go through and just place these around. So I'm using the blue. I'm just going to stick that one under there just a tad. Making sure my stems are semi-straight. And then place this one down here. Also remember just to put a little bit more repositional tape as you're going down towards the bottom. You might not have a lot in that section down the bottom. I think I might change this one. It does look a little bit out with my colour scheme. So I'm just going to add a blue. Just check one of these blue ones and see if I have enough. So I'm going to use that one. So stick that one under there. Just take away the excess of the repositional tape. Okay. Now some green. So I'm going to use that same green one that I just ripped off. Getting all stuck over here. This is going to be a small one. Place that one there. And then might use, gonna need a big blue, no, a big green I should say. So we've got one here, and that's gonna go all the way up to this top one. Just making sure that's all stuck down with repositional. Just using a little foam square, and that will hold that down. So now we've got this one, so we need some blue. So that one's going to go probably like that. So put the blue under, and then that foam square on top. So as you can see now, it's quite simple and quite easy to do your little pinwheels and making a little flower garden with that. Thinking I'm going to probably go down a bit and do another pink one just in the middle here. So I think in the end that I ended up using all the pinwheels. So I've got one more to stick on over here, and I do have another one sitting here. So I'm just getting some green now and putting some repositional tape on that. And this one is going to go over this end, but I'm going to bring that stem in just a little bit closer. And then put the foam square on. So do have one left. I'm just going to cut those ends off now and then have a look. So just cutting those ends off. If they are lifting a bit, you might need just a little bit more repositional tape on those. And this pinwheel is hanging over the edge, so you just want to trim that one up as well. Okay, so we've got one left, got a pink one. So just saying, no, we want blue. We slide that blue one all the way, maybe. And we could have a pink one at the top. No, that doesn't really work. I think it needs to go on this side. I think I might just leave it as it is. So the other thing that I did was using the hearts and the hibiscus flowers and putting them near the stems. So I'm just going to bring them in now. So when I did the hearts, I more or less done the hearts on a bit of a slant. So it's like a leaf. Just need to stick this one down a little bit more with the repositional tape. And that just made it look a little bit different again. And then you got the hibiscus flowers. I also used the foam squares on these ones as well. And I just put them on randomly. They weren't in any particular order. Just placed them around on my layout on the stems. I do have only a couple left on these strips, so I'll just use what I have. I've got some hearts, so I can use those on my layout. And then got a few hearts, so I might just use those up. And as you can see, they look pretty good. How they're sitting off the side and they look like, you know, like using them for leaves on your stems. You could use the suns if you like, but I felt that the suns were just a little bit too much against the hibiscus. So depending on what I'm going to be using this page on, I haven't decided yet, you know, and looking for a heading, I thought about something inside this life, because you got some nice ones in here and they're colourful, which will also go with the page. So I do like that. You have grateful, together, grateful, thankful, wonderful. I do like the love actually, so I might use that. Don't think I raise it. I think I might just use some repositional tape. I do like it on the side, but I also like it coming out. I think I might have it coming out. So just using some repositional tape. And I'm just going to use my centering ruler, so I do have that on straight. It's probably about 1 3/4 from the top. No, maybe 1 1/2 from the top. Yeah, I think that looks better. So just going to clear everything away. So as you can see, it's very simple to make a pinwheel page. And then you have this one here. You have the dual cardstock again, bigger one just on the other side. So I hope you give the pinwheel technique a go today. It does make a beautiful little girl's layout, or, you know, going to the show, to a fair, or anything like that. So enjoy. Have fun, everyone.